Welcome back to Stockwatch, and of course, joining me live in the studio is Andrew Lee of Maybank Investment Bank, and the topic for today is the Media Prima buyout of NSTP, which is coming very soon. Now, very quickly, Andrew, how will this new offer affect Media Prima shareholders? So far, all the attention has been on NSTP minority shareholders, but what about those guys who own Media Prima shares?
I think it will be positive. You're talking about the acquisition of NST.
Yeah.
It will be positive for Media Prima. It will be earnings accretive, so it'll add to earnings per share, which means that it'll be that's fine. The value of your company will essentially ought to rise. It's also, you should also look at it from a longer term perspective, because if the acquisition hadn't taken place, I think as an NSTP shareholder, you would be holding on to a company with just one media platform, and Media Prima, of course, has 5. So for Media Prima shareholders, in a sense, they are just acquiring more earnings of a company whose shares are at the moment, or whose earnings prospects are at the moment quite difficult to judge, because in the last 5 years they've never made more than 30 million a year. Currently, we're expecting actually a little bit more than that, because newsprint prices are very low, lower now than in the last 5 years. So for Media Prima shareholders, it's actually quite a good deal. So.
Now, earlier we were talking about this acquisition that Media Prima, a new announcement of an acquisition that Media Prima has announced recently. Kurnia Outdoor. We found out last week that they will be acquiring this outdoor advertising company, which is Malaysia's second largest after Media Prima. How does that sweeten the deal for both Media Prima shareholders and NSTP shareholders?
Well, very simply, with Kurnia, you're getting into a company, or you're now owning a company with a much more complete platform in outdoor advertising. And outdoor advertising is probably the media platform which Media Prima is weakest in. They have they're not particularly weak, because they have Big 3 Outdoor, which is the single largest player in outdoor, but relative to its TV platform, radio advertising, and even newspapers. Big 3 Outdoor only has approximately 32% market share, and with this acquisition, they add somewhere between 10 to 12 percentage points of market share. So they now have easily the 2 largest outdoor companies. So it is a very positive deal for the company. Which means both Media Prima and NST shareholders, if they decide to accept the Media Prima shares in exchange, they will both benefit. Particularly, I think in a sort of 1 to 3 year period, as advertising expenditure recovers and increases over the economic cycle.
Now, coming back to the deal at hand, let's look at the big picture. A lot of people have been asking, why would Media Prima buy a newspaper publisher when everywhere else in the world the newspaper business model is actually on the decline?
Yeah, a couple of reasons. Firstly, in Malaysia, well, globally it is in decline, but I think in Malaysia, newspaper is still the single largest media platform that commands the highest total ADEX. Still over about 52% of ADEX. And it's a good time to be buying it, simply because newsprint prices are lower now than in the last 5 years. I think in addition to that, what is valuable, particularly valuable in NST, is Harian Metro. Harian Metro today, Harian Metro is a tabloid Malay paper. Harian Metro today is the single most highest circulation daily in Malaysia, just under 400,000 copies, and that beats the Star. And although this is recognized, there is still a great deal of potential in Harian Metro, simply because the ads in Harian Metro currently probably aren't as high value to the paper as the ads you see in the Star. So if there was a way in which the new management could somehow get more higher value advertising into Harian Metro because it is the most widely read newspaper, I think there's a great deal of value that can be squeezed out of Harian Metro and therefore NST. So there is a great deal of growth ahead if they get it right.
Okay, now we're going to have to wrap up the interview, Andrew, but just to round things off, what's your advice to those who currently own NSTP shares and are sort of mulling over this? Yes or no?
Yes, I think they should accept it, simply because I think it's a much... To accept Media Prima shares is to accept shares in a company with 5 media platforms, so it's a much more balanced portfolio or in advertising spend. And I think, of course, what you're exchanging is newspapers, which is slower growth, and what you're getting is TV and radio and outdoor with much higher growth rates.
Thank you very, very much, Andrew. That really puts things in perspective for us. Okay, and that was Andrew Lee of Maybank Investment Bank joining us live here in our studio. And of course, before we conclude, we'd just like to remind viewers that Primeworks Studio, which produces this program, Stockwatch, is owned by Media Prima. Right, and so with that, we come to the end of Stockwatch for tonight. If you have any questions about investing that we can help you with, please email us at stockwatch@tv3.com.my. You can also catch any interviews you may have missed at our blog, stockwatchproducer.blogspot.com. Until next week, same time, same channel, I'm Shani Iman Lee. Good night.